So as far as the phase response is concerned, to look at the phase response, H omega is the frequency response. We know that how can we get H omega? H omega will have two parts. One part is e to the power minus jk omega and b omega. B omega is basically the magnitude part. E to the power minus jk omega is basically the phase part. All right, but we must be, whatever the phase will come, that we will take it from this expression, the exponent part. So what will be the phase in this general equation? The phase will be minus k omega. But the question is that what about the magnitude of b omega? So if b omega is less than 0, we have to adjust for pi radians. If b omega is positive, then it will be minus k omega. All right. We have already looked into this. Let us go to the first slide where exactly I have discussed regarding this. So tangent phi is tangent minus k omega. That means the phase is minus k omega. If b omega, that means the magnitude part of the frequency response, is greater than 0, the phase will remain the same. But if b omega is less than 0, it has to be it has to be adjusted with plus minus pi. Then how plus or minus will come? We will put plus or minus to keep the phase response an odd function. We have already discussed this part, but just I wanted to introduce once again, because once I will go to the pole zero placement method. Now probably you will need all these things. So while determining the phase of a system, one thing is that phase will directly come from the frequency response. That is number one. Second part is that you have to make adjustment for the magnitude part. If it is -1, you have to make an adjustment of plus pi or minus pi, depending on, to keep the phase response odd function. And there will be a third adjustment that you will have to make. I will come to the third, to the explanation. Yes, you have to make the third adjustment also. Now, how to make the phase jumps? From the previous examples, we have already discussed these examples. So these are just to calculate the magnitude response and phase response. So phase response you will get as minus omega. What you will do is you will take some impulse response, you take Z transform, you take its Fourier transform, right? You will get its frequency response. From frequency response, you will get the phase response. So these questions we have already solved actually. But how to make the phase adjustments? From the previous examples, we note that there are two occasions for which the phase function experiences discontinuities or jumps. If you look at the second part first, which I have already discussed, a jump of plus minus pi occurs when b omega undergoes a change of sign. We know that, right? There will be a phase jump of plus minus pi to keep the phase response odd function. The sign will determine that. But when b omega is less than 0, you will get you will have to make adjustment of plus minus pi. And the second adjustment will come from second adjustment of plus minus 2 pi will also come. Now, when it will come? Because this occurs to maintain the phase function within the principal value range of minus pi to pi. Suppose there is a linear phase and the linear phase is going beyond minus pi on the y-axis and beyond pi on the y-axis again. So if it is the case, you have to bring the phase back, give it a jump of 2 pi and then start once again. If I will have the example, I will show you. Probably it will come on the next slides. Then I will explain also that how to take care of this plus minus pi jump. So whenever you have to keep the phase within this range only, minus pi to pi. The phase cannot go regarding the y-axis I'm talking about. On the y-axis, what will be there on the y-axis? On the y-axis will be phase response, the angle part. On the x-axis will be frequency. The phase cannot go beyond minus pi or pi, right? So if it tries to go beyond minus pi or pi, you will make a phase jump of 2 pi, and then you will start from that point once again. So these two jumps you have to take care when adjusting, when you try to draw the phase response of a system. I hope the examples will come in the next slides. If the examples will come, I will talk about that. Right. Now this is extremely important. From here actually starts the pole zero placements in the transfer function. Now, a pole is a root of the denominator of the transfer function. FIR filters don't have poles, right? But in general, I'm talking about a pole is a root of the denominator transfer function of the transfer function. Conversely, a zero is a root of the numerator polynomial of the transfer function. You all know that. Now here comes the important part. Whenever you introduce a pole in the system, right, how it affects the frequency response. I mean, how it affects the curve, the frequency response curve. It gives a minus 6 dB per octave or minus 20 dB per decade response. Now, what is the meaning here? Per octave means every doubling of the frequencies along the x-axis, every doubling of the frequencies. Suppose you go from 50 hertz to 100 hertz, or you go from 100 hertz to 200 hertz, or you go from 10 kilohertz to, let's say, 20 kilohertz. With every doubling of frequency, how the curve will take its shape. The curve will take its shape with minus 6 dB dip in the response. Minus 6 dB, right? Because it is minus 6 dB, it will fall down. Minus 6 dB fall down with per doubling of the frequency. And what is the meaning of minus 20 dB? Minus 20 dB fall in the curve with every 10 times frequency. Meaning by if you are at frequency 10 hertz, then at 100 hertz there will be a minus 20 dB fall. All right, these will be the same. But each zero, whenever you introduce a zero in the system, what it does, it gives a plus 6 dB per octave. So it gives a plus 6 dB gain in the curve, right? Per doubling of the frequency, and plus 20 dB per decade. The meaning remains the same. Is that correct? So we will see in the next slide also that how these things will behave. A pole correspond. Let us not go into the corner frequencies at present. We will come to this part later. Let's see some examples and some of the more attributions towards the filter design. Now, let us talk about minimum phase, maximum phase, and mixed phase system in the case of FIR filters. So FIR filters will not have any poles. So let us discuss about the position of the zeros. All right. Let us consider two FIR filters. One is H1Z. It has the transfer function as 1 plus 1 over 2 z to the power minus 1. The other function is 1 over 2 plus z to the power minus 1. So two different transfer functions are there. Both will have one pole and one zero, right? So this is the pole zero diagram of this transfer function, and this is the pole zero diagram of this transfer function. In this diagram, you see the pole lies at the origin. In both cases, the poles will lie at origin because there is no denominator. The zero lies at rho equal to minus 0.5. The zero lies here. And in this case, the zero will lie at minus 2. If you calculate the zeros from these two expressions, you will see that in one case, the zero will lie at minus 0.5, the other case minus 2. But the zero here, which is minus 0.5, if you take the reciprocal of this, you get this zero, you get this system. Or if you get reciprocal of this, you get this system. All right, so this is known as reflection, reflecting the zeros, reflection. If you have a 0 here, if you take the reciprocal of this, you will get this system where the 0 will be outside the unit circle. 0 outside the unit circle, no problem with the stability of the system, as far as the stability of the system is concerned. But poles going outside the unit circle will definitely lead to instability of the system. So this is known as reflecting the 0, reflection. All right. So these two systems are reflection of each other basically. Now H2Z is the reverse of this system, H1Z. This is due to the reciprocal relationship between the zeros of H1Z and H2Z. Now, if this is the case, if the two systems are reflections of each other, right, the important thing about these two systems will be their magnitude response will always be same. If you calculate the magnitude response of H1, if you calculate H1 omega or H2 omega, in both cases you will see that H1 omega magnitude response, H1 omega magnitude response, H2 omega is this. That means what I'm trying to say is that if one system is the reverse of this system, then the magnitude response will remain the same, but there will be difference in the phase responses. The magnitude characteristics for the two filters are identical because the roots of H1Z and H2Z are reciprocal, right? But let's look at the phase. So this is phi 2 omega formula and this is phi 1 omega, the phase response formula. Now, if you try to draw the phase, what you will get in the first system, you will see that what is there in the first system. In the first system, 0 is inside the unit circle. In the second system, the 0 is outside the unit circle. All right. And okay. So for the first system, when the 0 is inside the unit circle, the phase starts from 0. At when omega is equal to 0, phase is also equal to 0. When omega is equal to pi, the phase is also pi. But in the second case, when the 0 is outside the unit circle, when omega is equal to 0, phase is 0. But when omega is equal to this pi, the phase is also pi. So that's what will come as a difference. Let us see how can we state the difference. If we reflect a 0, meaning by z is equal to rho, that is inside the unit circle, into a 0, z is equal to 1 over rho, outside the unit circle, the magnitude characteristic of the system is unaltered, but the phase response changes. We observe that the phase characteristic for the first system, phi 1 omega, begins at 0 at frequency omega equal to 0. So it begins at 0 when omega is equal to 0, and terminates at 0 phase at the frequency omega equal to pi. So it begins at 0 and terminates at 0. But hence the net phase change, phi 1 pi minus phi 1 0, net phase change is 0. So therefore, these type of systems are known as minimum phase filters when the 0 is inside the unit circle. But let us look at the other case. When you reflect the 0 and the 0 goes outside the unit circle, what happens to the phase? On the other hand, the phase characteristic for the filter with 0 outside the unit circle undergoes a net phase change of pi by 2 minus phi 2 pi minus phi 2 0 will be equal to minus pi radian. So this is the maximum phase. So therefore, these types of systems are known as maximum phase systems. The earlier systems are known as minimum phase systems when the 0 is inside the unit circle, and if you reflect, the 0 goes outside the unit circle. So these systems will be called as maximum phase systems, right? As a consequence of these different phase characteristics, we call the first filter a minimum phase system, and the second system we call as the maximum phase system. All right. Now, if a filter with capital M zeros has some zeros inside the unit circle and some zeros outside the unit circle, these systems are called as mixed phase systems. All right. The phase change will be in between the minimum and the maximum phase. Okay. Now, a minimum phase property of FIR filters carries over to IIR filter also. Let us consider the case of IIR. Hz is equal to Bz over Az. Now, this is called minimum phase if all its poles, of course, the poles have to lie inside the unit circle, right? And if the zeros also lie inside the unit circle, this will be a minimum phase system. In the case of IIR filters, if the poles lie inside the unit circle, but zeros lie outside the unit circle, all zeros lie outside the unit circle, these systems are known as maximum phase type of systems. Now, if some zeros lie inside the unit circle and some zeros lie outside the unit circle, these systems will be called as mixed phase systems. So the terminology of minimum phase system, maximum phase system or mixed phase system will apply to both FIR filters also and IIR filters also. Okay, so what is the minimum phase and maximum phase? Let me repeat once again. When at omega equal to 0, it starts from 0. When omega reaches to pi, it goes to 0. So net phase change is 0, right? So this is minimum phase. But in the other case, when omega is equal to 0, when the zeros are outside the unit circle. In the first case, zeros are inside the unit circle. But in the second case, zeros are out. 0 is outside the unit circle. So when omega equal to 0, phase is 0. But when omega is equal to pi, the phase is pi again, once again. Phase, when omega is pi, this point will come minus pi, right? So that's what I did it here. Phi to pi minus phi to 0 is equal to minus pi radians. So that means there is a maximum phase change. So that's why these systems are known as maximum phase system. But if some zeros are inside the unit circle and some zeros are outside the unit circle, then that type of system will be called as a mixed phase system. Okay, so that is about the zeros of the system. Zeros can come anywhere on the Z plane. It can be, the zeros can be outside the unit circle or can be inside the unit circle. But poles have to lie inside the unit circle if the system has to be stable. Okay. Now let us consider an example here. Consider a fourth order all zero filter. So the filter is an all zero filter. It is an FIR filter. Okay. Fourth order means 4 zeros will be there. When 4 zeros are there, there will be, to maintain the neutrality of the system, the poles will be there, but all poles will lie on the origin of the unit circle. It is not like that the system will only have zeros. System will have poles also, but lie on the unit circle, on the origin of the unit circle, because poles on the unit circle will not contribute anything to the transfer function. Okay, let us try to see this problem. Consider a fourth order all zero filter containing a double complex conjugate set of zeros. So two set of zeros are there, right? Located at 0.7 e to the power j plus minus j pi by 4. So two zeros are here and two zeros are here. What is 0.7? This is very important actually. I will explain the distance of, this is distance of the zero from the origin. From the origin, the distance is 0.7. That is the value of rho. Rho equal to 0.7, and two zeros are lying here and two zeros are lying here. The minimum phase, so this is a minimum phase system when all the zeros are inside the unit circle. The minimum phase, mixed phase and maximum phase system, all zero patterns have identical magnitude response. We will come to the magnitude response first. So this is minimum phase. If two zeros, because these are complex conjugate pair of poles. Two zeros will come here and two zeros will be the complex conjugate pair of these two zeros only. So two zeros will come here. Now if we take 1 0 from here, 1 0 from here outside, and if we reflect basically 1 0 here and 1 0 here, so that means the distance of the zeros outside the unit circle becomes 1 over rho. So this will lead to a mixed phase system, correct? When we reflect all the zeros outside the unit circle, then this will be a maximum phase system. Okay, let us look at the so this, if you plot, if you calculate the Z transform, if you calculate the frequency response, then if you take the mod of that, and if you try to plot the magnitude response, you will see that the magnitude response will be the same for all the three systems. But in the case of phase, this is for the first, this is minimum phase change. This is slightly, this is mixed, this is for the mixed phase case when there is a phase change, but slightly between minimum phase and maximum phase. And for the maximum case, the phase change will be maximum. That's how you must understand how the placing of zeros and poles outside the or inside the unit circles make the system to behave. It will affect the phase of the system. All right. Now, okay. Now let's go further into into understanding the zeros and pole behavior, and I consider the example of a notch filter. Let us try to see what is this notch filter. When a zero is placed at a given point on the Z plane, the frequency response will be 0 at the corresponding point. So whenever you place a 0 at a given point on the Z plane, the frequency response will be 0 at the corresponding point. A pole, on the other hand, produces a peak at the corresponding frequency point. You must understand this. Whenever you try to place a 0, so the response will be 0 at that point. Whenever you try to place a pole, it tries to give you a peak at the corresponding frequency point. Now, poles that are close to the unit circle, now let us look at here. Okay, I will come to that part also, but let us see what is written. Poles that are close to the unit circle give rise to large peaks. That means if I can explain from this diagram, let us say if the poles are closer, if the poles inside the unit circle are closer to the origin, or they are away from the origin. That's what I'm trying to say. Poles that are close to the unit circle give rise to larger peaks, whereas zeros close to or on the unit circle produces troughs or minima. Thus, by strategically placing poles and zeros on the Z plane, we can obtain sample low pass or other frequency selective filters, which are basically notch filters. All right. Now, let us take this example. Obtained by pole zero placement method, the transfer function of a sample digital notch filter that meets the following specification. Notch is basically we have to extract, we have to reject one particular frequency. That's why, so this is a notch filter. We have to reject this 50 Hertz frequency. So notch frequency is 50 Hertz. 3 dB bandwidth of the notch, because it will have a certain the width of the notch will be there. So it is plus minus 5 Hertz. Sampling frequency is 500 Hertz. Now the radius R of the poles is determined by, so this is how we can determine the radius, and then we can choose where to place these poles. The radius will be determined by 1 minus delta F divided by Fs into pi. Now, to reject the component at 50 Hertz, right, we have to reject the component, place a pair of complex zeros. Because, why complex zeros? Because the transfer function should go to 0. So that means it should, for this frequency, we should be able to reject this frequency. Then, to reject the component 50 Hertz, place a pair of complex zeros at points on the unit circle corresponding to 50 Hertz. Now, what are those points? Those points we will get it from we can get like this: 360° into 50 divided by 500. What is 50 hertz? Is the component to be rejected. 500 is the sampling frequency. So into 360°. So we will get the position of the zeros, a complex conjugate pair of zeros, plus minus 36° or plus minus 0.2 pi. So here on the unit circle, we will place two zeros. So this angle is 36°, right? This is plus minus 30. This is plus 36°. This is again 36°, where we will place the zeros. Now, to achieve a sharp notch filter and improved amplitude response on either side of the notch frequency, a pair of complex conjugate poles are placed at radius 0.937. How we will get the radius? Radius will be equal to 1 minus delta f. What is this delta f? Delta f is how much, because while placing a zero will try to take the response to the value of the magnitude response to 0. But the widening of the notch, how much width of the notch you require, that will be given by the poles. Now we have to get a notch of plus minus 5 hertz. So delta f will be plus minus 5 means 10. Fs is equal to 500. So we get the position of the poles. So at 0.937, we place poles. So what the poles will do? The poles will achieve the width, and the zero will take the response to 0, and therefore we get this shape of the notch filter. Is it correct? So that is what the placement of zero and pole is basically doing to the response of the filters, right? Now, if you place, that's what I said, if you place a pole near to origin or away from the origin, that we have already seen, poles that are close to the unit circle give rise to larger peaks, whereas zeros close to or on the unit circle produce troughs or minima, right? We have to strategically place the poles and zeros. Now, how you can obtain the transfer function? Because what we have designed a notch filter of these specifications. 50 hertz notch we want, 3 dB width of the notch is plus minus 5 hertz, sampling frequency is 500 hertz. So what we obtained? We obtained the position of the poles also and zeros also. So this is the position of zeros, this is the position of poles. If we know the poles and zero position, we can get the transfer function. How can we get the transfer function? This is zero, this is also zero, this is pole, right? So you get the transfer function, and you can further solve the equation, and the transfer function will do. Now this will be the transfer function of the notch filter. Now this transfer function, if you implement this the transfer function, then your system will become a notch filter that will remove that 50 hertz frequency. That's how the the design is done for the various systems. Okay, let us look at more systems. What is there in this example? Determine and sketch the magnitude response for each of the following filters. So yn is equal to xn plus xn minus 1. So this is very simple actually. So you take the Z transform, you take the frequency response, you take the magnitude will come out to be like this. So you get the magnitude response. Here in the case of, I want to state one important factor here, which, again, that point comes with experience. By looking at the transfer function or at the difference equation, you should be able to tell whether this is a low pass filter or this is a high pass filter. Okay, let us look at this is the first equation. So the magnitude response is like this. So this is the case of a low pass filter. Let's look at the second equation. You take the Z transform, and get the transfer function, you take the frequency response, you take the magnitude. So this will be the magnitude response, and if you try to plot, you will get the magnitude response something like this. This is the magnitude response of what? This is the magnitude response of a high pass filter. All right. If you look at this, this will be the magnitude response of a low pass filter. This is the magnitude response of a high pass filter. Now look at the difference equation. What is the difference in these two equations? Here it is a plus sign. Here it is a minus sign. Plus sign gives you an intuitive idea that the sample values are being added. That means the response is being added from the two samples values are added. But here these it is being I mean the sample values are being you are trying to take the difference. So the difference will increase like this. The plus sign, I mean for higher frequencies, if you try to take the higher frequencies, you will get higher values or xn or xn minus 1. Do not give anything about the frequency. Just it is a practical way of looking at the if I give you this equation, or if I give you this equation, this plus sign, you should be very quickly able to tell this is a low pass filter. If minus sign is there, you should be very quickly able to tell this is a high pass filter. So at the moment, try to remember like that. There is nothing to remember. You know, one, if you want to get the magnitude response, you can take the Z transform, you can get the frequency response, you can get the magnitude response formula, plot it. You will actually get what is the actual response. But quickly, with experience, this plus sign will give you low pass filter, this minus sign will give you high pass filter. All right, let's look at one more example. The example says the zero locations of 4 FIR transfer functions. So 4 transfer functions are there. The zero locations are also given, are sketched below. In the first case, where are the zeros? So these are 2 zeros here and 2 zeros here. These are complex conjugate pair of zeros. And 2 real zeros are there. One is here, -2, and other is minus 0.5. In the other case, where are the zeros? 1 0 is here, 1 is here, 1 is here, 1 is here, 1 is here. In this system, zero placements are like this. Now, if you carefully look at the, this is a mixed phase system, because 1 0 is outside, other zeros are inside. This is the example of again a mixed phase, but the zeros are the reflections of each other. In this case, this is a reflection of this zero, this is a reflection of this zero, whereas this is a reflection of this zero. But in this case, only 1 0 is a reflection of the other zero, but other 4 zeros are not the reflections, are not the reverse of the system. In this case also, these 2 zeros are reflection of each other, these 2 zeros are reflection of each other, whereas this is not. In this case, again, reflections are not there. 2 zeros are outside, 2 zeros are outside, 2 zeros are outside, maximum phase system, but no reflection. So, does any of the FIR filters have a linear phase response? We can quickly tell if the zeros are there in the form of reflections, that all zeros are reflections of each other, that will give me a linear phase response. That's what I'm trying to say. This may not give linear phase, this may not give linear phase, this may not give linear phase, but this will be a linear phase system. Does any of the FIR filters have a linear phase response? So this is a linear phase response. You must, if the zeros are related to each other through reflection, so it will be a linear phase response. Okay, we can prove this also, right? How can we prove this? Because if we take the symmetry condition, the symmetry condition is Hn is equal to H of capital N minus 1 minus N. You take the Z transform. So Hz is equal to, this is the Z transform, because this is capital N minus 1, Z raised to the power capital N minus 1. And what is the Z transform of minus N? It will be 1 over Z. Okay, let me see. In the third figure, if you see, these two zeros are not reflection of each other. Somebody has asked a question about the third figure. These two zeros are reflection of each other. These two zeros are also, but this is not. But in this case, all zeros are reflections of each other. All three zeros are reflections of other three zeros. So that's why this is not a linear phase. This is again not a linear phase. This is not a linear phase. But this is a linear phase example. I hope the point is clear. Then we can prove this also. Just take the Z transform of this equation. You will be able to get this. Let us say Z0 is a 0 of Hz. So that means H of Z0 is equal to 0. Then H of Z0 bar means the reflection. Complex conjugate means because the roots of a polynomial with real coefficients exist in complex conjugate pair of poles. So at Z is equal to 0, Z0 is equal to 0. So all these things, under the symmetry condition, it follows that if Z0 is a 0 of a linear phase, right, then so are Z0 bar 1 over Z0 and 1 over Z0. The point that I'm trying to make is, I hope visually also the point is very clear, that how can you determine the whether what systems will give you linear phase or not. The important thing to remember is that zeros outside the unit circle will not lead to any instability of the system. Rather, it will affect the phase part of the system. Magnitude will remain the same. But as far as the poles are concerned, the poles cannot go outside the unit circle. But this is also very important. Let me come back to that. Yes. So poles that are close to the unit circle, close to the origin basically. So it will give you poles that are close to the unit circle, meaning by, what is the meaning of this? Poles that are close to the unit circle. It's not origin, I'm sorry. This is not origin. Poles that are close to the unit circle, the circumference, the perimeter of the unit circle. The poles which are more away from the origin. That's what it is trying to say. The poles which are more away from the origin will give you larger peaks. That means if this distance, sorry, if this distance rho is more, it will give larger peaks. If this distance rho is less, it is as close to the origin as possible, then it will give wider peaks, the smaller peaks, I mean. So that's what is the meaning. The let me come back. Poles that are close to the unit circle, means that if they are close to the circumference of the unit circle. Probably I in my previous sentence I said it the otherwise, that they are close to, but it is not. Please make a correction. Poles which are close to the unit circle. Pole close to the unit circle means close to the away from the origin, give rise to larger peaks, whereas zeros close to or on the unit circle, if they are more close towards the unit circle, they will tend to produce troughs. They will tend to make thus by strategically placing poles and zeros on the Z plane, we can obtain low pass, or we can change the characteristics of this system as per our wish. Okay, I will try. I would like to finish the lecture here because I just wanted to give you, and we will talk more about when we will start the IIR filters. We will talk more about these poles and zeros and the transfer function, the difference equation, the structures of the filter. All these are related to each other. We will take more. I will take more examples to explain that part. That how the behavior of the system can be judged from this pole zero diagram, right? I will take one more lecture tomorrow, maybe day after tomorrow. Sorry, tomorrow on the FIR filter design of differentiator, using for the design of differentiator, and that will also finish your third chapter, which is about the FIR filters. From tomorrow onwards, right? After taking the differentiator lecture, I will start with IIR filters, the design of IIR filters. I will first explain the difference between FIR implementation and IIR implementation. FIR will give you stability linear phase. IIR filters give another advantage. The complexity of the system reduces if you choose an IIR strategy of filter design. We will talk about that in the next class. I will upload the slides just now only. All right. Thank you for joining. If you have any questions, you can ask. Because we have about 5 minutes or 2-3 minutes. If you have questions, you can ask. Or I will end the lecture. You can mail me any questions if you want. Then thank you so much for joining. So tomorrow I will come back with the differentiator design. Thank you.